There we go. Welcome to the 19th Sacrament podcast. Let's get this ball rolling. All right. Game on, huh? Okay. So, I've got lighting. Finally. So let's.
That's like the most important thing of this podcast is Lanham's fucking light.
I'm telling you. And Steam is apparently still open. Let me close that so that doesn't distract me because I'm like a fucking squirrel right now. Or a dog right now. Squirrel! Alright, yeah, so let's jump right into the meat and potatoes. Let's see, what did we go over last week? Last week, as Bacon so eloquently highlighted on the forums, there were rants, and more rants by me.
Rants, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just sit here and nod my head.
Right. I brought him on and I don't give him a chance to talk. I don't know what the fuck that's about.
He really doesn't.
You gotta kind of nudge your way in and get that motherfucking elbow
there's some
rolling.
rants I let you go, but I do nudging every so often. I gotta let you get your rants out. Someone's gotta do it.
What is up, dogs? Why? You never come in here and bug me like this. Go on. Go. Thank you. Love you. Alright, so last week we talked about the rentable server space, essentially. And showed off some images of our game. We are working on getting better quality images of those. There are some issues. I believe Corey did put those up on the website. I can't remember now.
Yes, I don't remember where they got put, though.
Oh, yeah, in-game art. So head over to in-game art and take a look and, enjoy.
Which is under the media tab, folks.
Yes, sorry. I forgot you can't see the very top of my screen because Check's fat face is in the way.
Gotta put it somewhere.
All right, so let's get on to this week's podcast information. So the initial discussion that we're going to have is whether or not you want to see open world raid bosses in all tiers. So the original design as we were laying it out, keep in mind tier 16 through 20 was our raid content. So as I was laying it out, that's all I was thinking was when we talk about open world bosses, they were tier 16 through 20. We had a very specific one in mind, and then Crave wanted to put other bosses other than what I'm referencing right now, actual raid boss types. For me, the only real issue I got is, man, open world raid bosses ain't really shit. Like, it's just a big ass mob with a bunch of damn health. So for me, it's
I say, and it's hard to balance it to where it ever becomes more than that.
Yeah, and I think Swoltar made a few attempts to try to. You can only bring X amount of people in order to make it challenging, so that we can add, mechanics and stuff like that with their nightmare raid boss. But you wound up trolling the shit out of them too, because some asshole would show up. And I think it was like you could only have 16 people in the fight. Otherwise, everybody was one shot automatically. And then some random ass asshole would show up.
Would just walk in.
Yep. And all of a sudden, you've got 17 people and everybody's dead. So look, we're a rather creative team, okay? I dare say we're rather fucking good at what we're doing here. Pretty intelligent, very creative, not held back by any limitations. We understand what we want to see in a game, what most gamers want to see in a game, what we feel most gamers want to see in a game. I think if there's a way to go about it, we could figure it out. We are working on many, many other systems, so it's not like this was something that was up front. So really the question comes to you guys, because honestly, I'm not going to sit here and try to solve a problem that we're never going to utilize if you guys don't even give a fuck about seeing it. So the question is, do you want to see open world raid bosses all the way from tier 1 to tier 20, or do you just want to keep it in the tier 16 through 20 zones. It's up to you. I'll let you guys decide that. We're going to keep this voting open for like 2 or 3 years, but
I'd say it's not disappear soon.
Yeah, yeah, and we're going to start bringing up some of the other questions as well as more and more people are paying attention to this game to make sure that they're aware of these games, or of these questions, because especially a lot of these are very important.
Words, your say actually matters to a point. So
yep,
that's another big difference. So.
You guys right now count as one vote of the founders. So essentially, the collective group of gamers counts as a founder. So. So, Steele brings up a valid conversation point. He says, I'm surprised they didn't do instance-based world bosses that kept trolls out. I played a couple of games with that feature to battle trolls. Here's the issue, and I explained, Steele and I actually had a conversation about instancing versus open world instancing, right, versus other means. Every time you include instancing right now, let's be brutally honest, we collectively as a gaming industry have not figured out the proper coding for instancing to make it function the way that we want it to function, right? The idea behind it in order for it to work. I don't think instancing is something that I want to fall back on in a lot of areas.
Instancing a world boss destroys 90% of the reason you made a world boss.
It really does. It really does. So.
Most of the reason for a world boss is honestly novelty and lore. When you lose all the novelty, you have some lore of why this guy's in the world when he's technically not in the world, so it doesn't even make sense. Why else is he fucking there?
And Crave says that I'm simply just wrong on this one, and yet I challenge you to show me a game that had open world bosses throughout that was any good. Not the game any good, but the open world boss system any good. Terra was bad. No,
Terra was bad. Guild Wars 2 is bad. Guild Wars 2 is actually terrible. This is Zergfest. Final Fantasy 9 was usable, but it was never good. Sorry, fucking 11. I always say 9. Always say 9. Fucking 11.
You know, when it came to Final Fantasy 11, the only reason that was even halfway decent was because there were no fucking raids. That was really the only raid content
there
that
was
existed.
No raids. The raid content was only world bosses, and it was a community willing to let it happen. That will never happen again, ever.
Yeah.
Sorry, the community that existed at that point will never happen again, and people were too nice back then. That will never happen. People went because in Final Fantasy 11, when you went into a zone, there was a limit to the number of people that could be in the entire zone. And to fight these bosses, they were so hard. Your guild, and actually it was normally like 5 or 6 guilds at a time, would take over the zone and pop lock it so randoms can't even get in, and they would sit there and alternate raid teams, because one fight I remember from 6 or 7 years ago was almost 23 hours long straight in one zone, and they rotated 7 raid teams in and out of the zone because of pop lock. While it was cool and the novelty was there, the community will never exist for that to happen again.
And let's remember, so open world bosses start out as the original raid content, okay? God, what was the first raid in EQ1?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I remember the scenario, but I don't remember. I don't remember. And the whole instance rating came about because essentially what would happen was in EQ1 you would have the top 2, maybe 3 guilds, depending on how good the third guild was, competing for these kills. They were absolutely competing for these kills. And if you weren't one of the top 2, maybe 3, you weren't raiding. You were simply watching other people destroy shit because you couldn't compete in DPS and whatnot. EQ2 did a little bit of a mix. A lot of a mix. They did instance rating, which happened for a while, and open world bosses. But even their open world bosses were bland as shit, absolutely bland as shit, and
heavily camped.
Heavily camped.
Boredom.
Oh my goodness.
Point of boredom on the camping. Still brought up WoW. The original WoW world bosses were the same thing. I played on Gorgonash and Vanilla and BC. We were expected to log in at 2 fucking a.m. to kill world bosses. And if you didn't log in an hour before 2 a.m. to kill the world boss, there would be hundreds of people there because the first tag of the first guild to hit it got the world boss kill.
Yep. Finny's a great example, EQ1. Anybody who's ever played a bard knows who the fuck Finny is. Anybody who's ever played a Bard endgame knows who the fuck Finny is in EQ1. Finny is an open world boss, underwater boss. You figure, cool. Nobody likes underwater shit.
Fuck that guy.
No, everybody likes underwater shit in EQ1. The combat was actually pretty fucking good. Why people didn't just stick with that damn combat, I don't know. They always try to alter it or some shit, and it winds up being real shitty. Anyway, but what you find is Finny is actually permacamped by a few Asian guilds who, I mean, they've got the fucking timing down. The second Finny dies, there is a full-on guild who hit their little stopwatch, and they show up about 10 minutes before Finny pops. When Finny pops, they send out a text to everybody. I know this because my guild did this, and everybody would log in like that. I mean, it didn't matter what time it was. It could be 1 a.m., and they'd all be logged in and kill Finny, get the loot, and they log out.
And the counter to what people did that made the problem even worse, because the counter that games put into world bosses that existed, the most recent one I can think of is Arcade, is when the kill happens, their respawn goes on, and they don't respawn for their set period of time. Let's just use 24 hours because it's the easiest. But they can respawn exactly at 24 hours, or they can't. Then for the next 24 hours after that spawn hit, they could respawn at any point in that, and that just becomes even more tedious. Because guess what? You still camp the fucker for just even longer now.
And I've done, like, I don't know, 50 epics. We used to do midnight camps, and I was on rotations and shit. And I'm active duty Marine Corps, like field ops shit, still in a rotation to time camp something for 2 hours between the hours of 3 and 5 in the morning or some shit. So while there's a lot of nostalgia there is a lot of headache there as well. And the concern for me is that, one, we're going to have to get highly creative and come up with a system that makes world bossing
fun again.
Yeah, fun is really what it comes down to. Not just a bunch of people.
Fun.
Right. Not just a bunch of people showing up to kill the boss, pew pew fest with one tank and one healer, but actual encounter. Something that you're going to fucking lose if you fuck it up. And we have to figure out how to do that in the environment that we're in. So we've got some ideas, or I've got some ideas, and the reality is a lot of people aren't going to like the answers because they're pretty hardcore ideas. So not that that's ever going to sway me. Just
in my personal opinion is world bosses are cool and all. I'd rather have world events. They're easier to control. They feel better. They mean more.
Absolutely. And since we do have world events, personally don't think we need world bosses. But I'll let you guys vote on that. So.
Yeah, so that's my personal opinion as well. Yeah, world events can do so much more than a single boss ever could.
Yep. And Steel Deal,
instancing and phasing are the same thing, just done in a different place.
Right. When you're referencing instancing in an open world, in an open scenario, same thing as phasing. Absolutely same thing as phasing.
It's same thing, just done a different way, but it is the same end result. They just put a different name on it. I'll put a different name on it so people think it's new when it's really not.
Same with their marketplace. All right, so let's. So you've got the question: do you want to see open world raid bosses in all tiers? That'll be up on the forums once I get this video over to YouTube. I know last week I said once I'm done here, I realize I need the video on YouTube in order to properly do it.
That reminds me, I completely forgot to make the forum threads too. I'll do that too.
Yeah.
Places you can ask questions.
He screwed that one up. I got my shit done, so get on check about that shit. All right, so now let's cover. This is something we're gonna do from here on out until Izzy gets her life back in order. I'm just kidding, Izzy. I'm just teasing.
More or less till I actually talk to her and get it set up.
Something like that. We're going to go over all the previous Monday's information release information redundancy information release data. Yeah, so we'll do that. So if you've got any questions about anything IR and you don't like posting on the forums, or you're one of them people that doesn't register the forums, or you don't even want to ask questions and you just want to come here and hope somebody fucking reads your mind and asks a goddamn question, then hopefully we'll get you covered here. Alright, so we had 3 major things that came up in this. Actually it's 2, but we split up. I'm splitting up one of them into 2. So we've got 3 major things. The first we're going to go over is a sniper class. because it's very quick to the point. I feel your questions are going to be a lot deeper than the information for the sniper class. As we release this class, information is really not, like, you're not going to be overburdened with information or anything like that. We try to keep it sweet and to the point so you absolutely understand what's going on. The next thing we're going to talk about is open world content and then instanced content, which is not the same as open world phasing content. So, Steel Deal loves a sniper. Steel Deal also has a thread on the forums to get Ursa added to the sniper available race list. So, if you're interested in that, head on over there and check that out. So, alright, here we go, the sniper. So, let me get the right tab here. So, the sniper is the first gun class, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Cray's been making a huge stink about this. The guns have to be right and so on and so forth, and I absolutely agree. But I think he's the most excited of the founders about the gun classes. So he's been mentioning that the sniper is the first gun class and that we're releasing, and this is the first look at what a gun class looks like. So this is the sniper. The sniper is very simple. So the sniper, the role is a high DPS, mild, very, very, very minor CC. I believe it's like a 4-point CC, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right.
So we're talking about CC with a sniper. We're talking about really small stuff, personal stuff like a snare for the sniper. The most effective weapon for the sniper, obviously, is a sniper rifle. They can pick up any weapon, but that's going to be their most effective. Leather is their armor type. You can't really see one running around in cloth robes or anything like that. And then chainmail is their... Plate. Yeah, oh my goodness. Full plate sniper, hello noise. Chainmail's for those events where the sniper's among buddies and he's still kind of getting his ass whooped and he wants to do something, so chainmail. Available races, abilities. So we didn't get a chance to go over this yet, but I did note here, and I want, because some of you are paying attention to this, if you're paying attention to how we're doing our class abilities here, the key thing is to notice that any roles we've got listed up here, you should find at least one aspect for it in the class abilities. The problem with that is I did not verify that this was so on this area right here. So there is an element here where we need to address this. Extraction will likely be the ability that gets replaced with something that is more CC effect, unless Crave wants to change that 4 points of CC into 4 points of self-support, because extraction is a self-support ability. It is not CC in any method. It does not affect the targets at all. It affects you. So be aware of that. One of the two things will change. Probably just switch it over to self-support.
I say self-support would make more sense.
Right, because it does make more sense. A sniper really needing like a snare or something like that really doesn't. A ranger would utilize a snare. A sniper's not really going to use that.
The sniper gets found to the point he needs a snare, he's probably still dead.
Right, and this also right here, and I love this ability as well, especially this ability, Spotter. This is a debuff ability, so this is a little bit of a CC. So this is the argument Crave and I are going to have. Which one of these two abilities do we really want to keep? So
because you're going to have to lose one of them.
Right, or we're going to have to pull down the DPS a little bit. So as you can see, we are constantly working on perfecting our class system so that we fully understand. We fully understand. So you fully understand exactly what it is you're getting into. So and camouflage is also a buff type. So I think self-support is a definite, and we all agree camouflage is important for the sniper class. What we want to see from the sniper class, and it's not a full-on invis. All right, let me explain something about camouflage, or ghillie, I should say. This ability in and of itself, okay, is not a full-on invis. If you walk up on a sniper who is using this ability, you're going to be able to see them. Whereas if you walk up on an assassin who's used their stealth, you're not going to see the assassin at all. Just raw, no modifications made to your character. Walk up, an assassin and a sniper sit next to each other, both of them using their own stealths. You're not going to see the assassin. You will see the outline or the glimmer, so to speak, of the the sniper. Ghillie is meant for those of you that understand anything about snipers, is meant for long range visibility restrictions. It's to keep people from seeing you from that long distance. It doesn't hide you perfectly, but it does make it so that you blend in with your surrounding environments a lot easier. And this is really paramount for a sniper, especially in our game, as a sniper's not the biggest defensive individual. I mean, they're wearing leather armor, so they've got a lot of mitigation that they're losing in that. They've got the most range. Once they move,
their biggest defense is their range.
Yep, so. Absolutely. Once they move, their ghillie ability is gone. Now, that said, I wrote down somewhere that once they use an ability, it's gone too. But that's not sniper-esque. So I'm gonna actually I wrote it right here. Invis is canceled once they perform any action, move, casting ability, etc. I don't think casting an ability really functions. We're going to make it so that you have an opportunity to see the sniper if they utilize an ability, but I don't think ghillie should expose them completely. It doesn't expose real snipers at all.
Version of a muzzle flash that displays the character for like a second, and then they go back to ghillie.
Essentially, that's what I want to push for. So, and I think Crave's going to agree on that point because it does fit the way the snipers work. So with the snipers having the most range, what I mean by this is the range is really, see, Crave agrees.
Yeah.
So
muzzle flash. You probably won't be able to do a muzzle flash, but you can do something to the effect.
We can decrease the effectiveness of ghillie for a second. I think a second's long enough. We can even do it just shorter than that, and then have it reapply itself or something. Yep. So
literally, it makes your character pop and gone. Just pop and gone. Pop and gone.
Exactly. So it gives enemies a way to go about.
It lets them know your general region to at least get close enough to find you.
Right. So, all right. So ranged attacks with a sniper. The range is attached to a weapon, right? So the weapon has its set range. It's not the sniper that's got the range. Snipers are going to pick up a sword and have 45-meter range or anything like that. The sniper will have the most range. The sniper rifle will have the most range, period. And the snipers actually get a little bit of damage bonus from that increased range, whereas other classes aren't getting that. The ranger, I think we have a damage bonus increase, but it doesn't go all the way as far as a sniper's maximum range does, whereas a sniper has a maximum range damage increase with a fluffer bonus of 2 or 3 meters, some stuff like that. So I would probably rather have spotter though over extraction. Yeah, it's something we're going to adjust. I actually think we can get away with utilizing both with the way the sniper's going to work with the damage increases, stuff like that. I think we can make an adjustment to actually include self-support and a little bit of the CC to keep everything in there. That's just me thinking out loud. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. We'll let you guys know. We'll keep you updated on what we do with it over the next couple of weeks. Steve and I will probably talk about this. Crave and I will probably talk about this right after this podcast and have it absolutely hammered out. So you'll probably
Here's my stupid idea just stay here for extraction. Make it a group extraction. Not like, they all evacuate to a safe location, but make it so you actually can make an extraction point to where if as long as they're moving in that direction, they have increases. Because then it would still be because spotter is a group support, so that'd be another group support to fall into the same category. And it's still
spotter's not a group support actually.
Oh, sniper's attack. Sorry, I misread. Yeah. Ignore me then. See, bad idea. Yeah, see, it morphs into group version. See, I'm not terrible then.
So, all right.
There.
So, I hate the word morph. I like evolve. Yeah. So that's essentially the sniper class in a nutshell. We will identify the one kink we've got in this, this and this. But yeah, as far as the background and lore, I'm really not going to get into the background and lore. I'm going to let you RP nerds enjoy that kind of stuff on your own. That's not something that I will be covering, only because, honestly, I don't really give a fuck about it. I care to a point that I
agree.
know there's people that absolutely want that information, okay? So I care to that point because it is important for me that you have
care
information.
To create lore, not read it.
There you go. So, I mean, let's be honest. I've got so much shit going on. I can't read all that damn lore and keep up with what I'm doing. So, yeah, and Czech can't read. So clearly, he didn't even see that it was from the sniper's attack.
Send me to school.
Yes, Czech. All right. Steele says, for spotter though, why only just the sniper's damage would get increased? If a sniper spots out a target, wouldn't others be able to focus more DPS on a target? I may be thinking back to WoW Hunter's similar ability. All right, so let's talk about that for a second then. Snipers, in real world scenario, do not communicate with anybody but their spotter. They are closed communication.
Scream, shoot that guy! No.
Right. There are some situations where you see in movies snipers are getting clearance for shots and shit like that. Yeah. There are some situations where the sniper does have constant communication in Fallujah. When I was in Fallujah, the snipers overhead, we were talking to the snipers all the time. They were really our spotter, but they didn't. They took care of threats more than anything and just let us know when we needed to avoid areas. They didn't send us into ambushes so we could attack shit. So that kind of a mindset doesn't work for the core ability itself because that's not the reality of what a sniper would do. In this specific situation, we're looking at a sniper as the guy in the grass in the field who's been sent out with a very specific mission. If the target's there, you take it. If the target's not, you don't take it. There's no other scenario. It's target there, kill. Target not there, don't kill. That's the type of thing we're talking about. You're talking about the sniper being, anywhere from 15. The sniper's never going to
expect someone else to do his job.
Right. You're talking about being anywhere from 15 to 40 meters away from other people in your group. That's a long ass fucking distance. I highly doubt the sniper's going to stand up and start yelling, "Hey, hit him right there," some shit like that. Okay. So when we're looking at that kind of stuff, that's the kind of realism that we're trying to apply. Yes, it's a fictional game in a fantasy world, but there are elements that have to make sense, that have to be grounded in some realism in order for people to even begin attaching to it. So, all right, so let's move on then. And if you've got any questions about Sniper, go ahead and add them. I think we're on like a 25-second delay right now. So I'm not going to sit here for 25 seconds staring at the screen waiting for you guys to ask questions because I think that would get a little creepy. And I'm probably going to start undressing you. So don't, with my eyes, of course. Don't.
No, literally. He's outside. Talking.
All right. Somebody's at my door. Open world content. All right. So in this IR, we talked about open world content and instance content. And we wanted to put them in the same IR because they have a lot of importance when put together. All right, so MMOs, the first one started, everything was open world content. There were no instance dungeons. Not a fucking drop of instance dungeons. None that I've played. EVE, EQ1, I don't know if UO had instancing.
I didn't for a long time. It did after a while, but it didn't for like 6 years.
Yeah, EQ1 was essentially the same way. I think EQ2 started out with instance dungeons, but we're talking about 4 or 5 years later. Final Fantasy XI had no instance dungeons. Everything was open. Everything was contested. So what happens in this world space is, oh my God, and this is what you're seeing, is we've gone from that open world feel, that thing that people really, really do love about the MMOs, right? The reason why a lot of Elder Scrolls games are really successful is because it's open world stuff. You are literally surrounded by open world.
Microphone muted.
Hold on. Crave is apparently...
over there? Oh, is Crave going crazy? I muted everything.
Yeah, Crave sent me a message on... I don't know. Send me that through Facebook, damn it. If you got something important to tell me, ping me in TeamSpeak, you bastard. Even LDON. Even LDON, dude, that was what? 5 expansions? 4 expansions? Yeah, something like that. So you're talking 4 years after. It launched as a completely open world game. And we've we've gotten so far away from the open worldness, right? Nobody wants to be contested anymore. Nobody wants to see other people anymore. That any open world content, any that you can find in an MMO, is solo player stuff, right? So you don't have to play with other players. And any group content is all instance dungeoning. I mean, that's fine, but it's boring as fuck, okay? There's sometimes I just want to go out and I just want to hang out with my boys and kill shit on a fucking hillside. Pull shit to my group and kill it on a hillside. I don't want to have to run around, an entire fucking zone with 500 other people who are running around an entire fucking zone with my group killing mobs that are meant for one, maybe two people if you don't really know how to play your class. It's just not engaging at all. There's not... I can't even begin to tell you how fucking dull that shit is. And we finally had the game launched with the Extreme, right? I can't think of the name of the game. Crave knows what it is. He actually beta tested it. It's a Russian game, is it Crave? Where it's all instancing. There you go. Orc Highway and camp checks. I'm telling you. Right?
Russian game that's all instancing. You're probably talking about Skyforge.
Yes, Skyforge. Be like the god or some shit like that.
Yeah. It is 110% instance even from the tutorial.
Yep. Skyforge. See, even Crave knows. People know what the fuck I'm talking about because they see it and they go, what the fuck, man? I can't just walk around the normal world. I have to do these instance dungeons. That is not an MMO, okay? Stop selling yourself as a fucking MMO if you're all instance content. The more you rely on instancing, the less you become an MMO, all right? Having millions of people play your game does not qualify you as an MMO. Otherwise, all of the Elder Scrolls games are MMOs. Call of Duty's an MMO.
Call of Duty, best MMO NA.
Woo! God damn it. Final Fantasy fucking 3 was a damn MMO at some point. Mario's been an MMO since inception. Sonic the Hedgehog was an MMO. So where the fuck is the line? So, yeah, Vindictus is another example.
Vindictus' awesome thing, though, is its combat is amazing.
Right. Vindictus was one of the first hack and slash online combat games. And it was absolutely brilliant, man. Fucking Vindictus rocks.
They also don't sell themselves as an MMO.
That's right. They sell themselves correctly. So we want to pull back a lot from the over-instancing, and we wanted to create a worldscape where players enjoy. I mean, our developers are going to spend months and years creating each of these fucking places. We need to give players something to do in these fucking places. So instead of ushering them all off, it's not there to look at and walk through and take fucking screenshots and that's it. These places are dangerous, man. These places are going to kick your fucking ass. So, Minecraft, there you go. Another huge fucking MMO, right? Jesus Christ. So we wanted to pull away from the overabundance of instancing. At the same time, we respect that there are players that want to run dungeons because they don't want to compete for camps. Now there's
nothing wrong with dungeons,
right?
At all,
absolutely. And so we're going to have a healthy amount of dungeons in the game, instance dungeons and open world dungeons. All the open world stuff will have unique ways to spawn bosses. It's not a very specific location that you have to camp that one spot, and then in this dungeon there's only really 4 or 5 places where a boss spawns kind of thing. There are unique ways to spawn bosses, and if your group spawns a boss, that boss is attached to you until the boss kills your group, or you kill the boss, one of the two. Yeah. So people can't just steal your bosses. So when it comes to contested open world, at this point now it's really just contested in the vein of, I really like this camp spot, but some asshole's been camping it for like 4 hours, and I keep telling him to fucking leave, but he won't leave. Don't train him, because I will log the fuck in, and I will train you until the end of motherfucking time with mobs that don't even exist in our game. Don't be a fucking douchebag, okay? Sorry.
Oh my god. Oh, that brings back great memories.
God. Now I will say this: if somebody
I've trained people heavily before,
if somebody trains you and you just so happen to train them back,
I never started, but once you start it, you're fucked.
Oh yeah, I've got a ton of stories about monks who thought they were better than bards at pulling shit and wound up training my group, And yeah, I'll wreck shit, man. I don't give a fuck. The difference between a bard and a monk is when a monk flops, he can still get cast on. Bard, that shit ain't happening. I'm moving faster than you, and my fade is mobile. So, anyway. Train. I'll take a 360 no-scope bullet train right to the head on those guys. I don't know what the fuck he's trying to say. I think he's trying to cross game types here.
This is what happens when Call of Duty exists in the world. You've heard it here for first, folks. Call of Duty does this to you.
Steel is your brain on drugs.
Yes.
Sacrament is your brain. Steel Deal is your brain on drugs. So the open world content, we're creating a very fluid landscape here. Enemy density that's not going to be, I can't walk anywhere without aggro and shit. Like Rift did. That was the biggest pet peeve I had with Rift was every 5.5 meters there was a bad guy, but you couldn't ever just pull a whole bunch of bad guys. You couldn't split pull. None of that shit.
The radius was stupid in Rift.
Oh my goodness. And if you got hit, you fell off your mount. I mean, we're not trying to create this pseudo population in the world where just because you see an enemy every 5.5 meters means it's overly populated. Our enemies are going to act like people would act, or creatures of that type would act. If they're group type, they're going to hang out in groups, and you're going to need a CC character to split them unless you want to take them all, and good fucking luck doing that. Screw COD, I play Battlefield.
Old Battlefield's good, not new stuff. But continue.
So the ability to knock down buildings and shit is pretty fucking badass, though. So moving away from the open world content into the instanced content, the drive here was really to provide people with something that they really become used to, accustomed to. We've got some really cool ideas for the instance dungeons, some stories for them, but these aren't our primary focus of the game. Does that mean they're going to get treated like second water shit? No, absolutely not. They'll be good. They'll exist. We've got some unique ideas for different dungeon types that we absolutely think people are going to love, to give it a little bit more flair than just going in, killing waves of mobs and then bosses, and then resetting and going in and repeating. The item drop rate is going to be similar to being in an open world group. That way there's no, in order to farm out gear the most efficiently, I need to go instance dungeoning. I can't even enjoy open world shit because I fall behind or something like that. Now, does that mean they're going to be positively, absolutely identical? No, but we will make adjustments so that they are within the same realm of each other, within 10% of each other.
Noted, he says dungeons are not raids. It's dumb to have to make that clarification, but with how stuff is recently, everyone assumes dungeon and raids fall under the same rules, get made the same way and everything.
Yeah, not the same. Instance raids, now when it comes to raids, those will be for the vast majority instanced, only because high power raid teams are not like the open world. Raids, there's only usually a few of them types of things. And there's usually a couple groups that can lock them down. We wanted to avoid that. If we get to the point where we can get out of that, then absolutely we'll work on incorporating open world raiding in some regards. Probably, first, maybe second expansion, we'll implement some open world raiding where you're gonna need your whole raid team, not the tier 16 through 20, where you're gonna need more than just a single group to go through and kill these mobs now, but a full-on raid fight where you've got mechanics going at you. We're not talking about turn and burns. Everything we do our best to stay the fuck away from turn and burns, and that's, for me, the biggest reason why open world bosses in all tiers is a no-no for me, because I'm not a fan of turn and burns at all.
And it's hard to make them not turn and burns. So
in the open world, it's really hard to do so. So
when you can take several hundred people to a boss because there's no limitation, what are you gonna do? Take several hundred people every time.
Now, Wicked did develop some coding that allowed these raids to auto scale and adapt, and we just have to find ways to add more and more meaningful mechanics. When it comes down to it, it's really about us creating mechanics that are intriguing, engaging, and challenging, as opposed to
numbers.
either no mechanics or mechanics that are just all one-shot mechanics, right? So you dance the red squares, like what the WildStar was all one-shot mechanics. If you fucked up, you died.
Yeah,
if
you just
you
die.
if you figured out the dance, it was no longer a threat. And we want to balance in between. We want to bring it back to the way the EQ1 used to do rating, where you can fuck up and still survive. You can be perfect and still get fucked up. So the fight should be fully engaging at all times. There should never be a point where people aren't on the edge of their seat, aren't breathing through their fucking mouth because they need that much oxygen. And never a point where when they get down to 20%, 10%, 5%, that their raid leaders aren't screaming at people, focus, stay focused.
Yes. And then when it happens, you have to take off your headset because you've all gone deaf.
Yes, so.
Because then everyone screams.
Yep.
And you wake up your neighbors and the cops show up. That's happened twice.
So, as you can see, we released some of our raid mechanics, I think 3 of them. Actually 4, because with this game information release, I did release, I believe. Oh no, rating is the next one. So, but
ratings, I say it's not out yet.
Yeah, that's the next one. We were just going over the documentation to make sure that it worked. I'm not going to X out of that. But as you can see, we're making a drive to make this game what classic games were, with some of the new stuff, but with evolutions that we absolutely feel gamers are going to love more than anything. So we believe pushing it back out to open world content is of huge key to that. So we want to get you fuckers back in the world. Get to work again. Do something. All right. So does anybody have any questions about anything that we talked about? We have a live Q&A time. Anything on your end there, Check?
I never have anything. Is this your attempt to include me? Yeah, I don't got shit today.
I don't know. I mean, I thought you included yourself pretty well on the sniper thing, so.
With my shitty ass idea? Yeah, no. I got nothing. I don't know.
I like to call that an oversight, right? Not a bad idea. So.
No, it's a bad idea. Don't try to make it better. It's okay. I know I fucked up.
I was looking out for you, bud. But I mean, if you don't want to take the $1.50,
if I'm going in, I'm going fucking hard and deep. That's right.
You're going in dry.
Yes.
All right. So we got no questions. So this is probably going to be one of our shortest podcasts, which ideally I probably should be in the practice of doing. So instead
we tend to go way too long most of the time.
All right, so I'm sure as more and more people come to listen to these podcasts, more and more people are going to say, your podcast game sucks.
Have an honest-to-God QA time like this, then people will bitch about it, and I'll tell them to go fuck themselves. So cool.
All right, so once again,
you really want to make, but the problem is, like,
no, I got this. I got this. Steel Deal. Shut the fuck up. Did you just fucking say sort of paintball that can distinguish a target for group members to lay upon? Bitch, do you think we're making a fucking color by numbers?
Okay, next question. How am I supposed to load a paintball big enough into my gun that lets you be able to tell that someone got shot by it in the middle of a fight?
Well, then it also has to travel at a velocity that will allow it to go all the way to the target
without breaking beforehand.
Right. And somehow impact the target without penetrating, but just explode on the surface.
If you can learn how to make a bullet like that, I want them in real life.
I don't want... Not at all.
No, I would do trolley shit with it, but
you would too. There'd be a whole bunch of bears and shit out in the woods, just all different colors.
Yes. Fucking
steel. No steel. Okay, it's not happening. It's not a group buff. All right. I believe Crave said that it evolves into a group potential buff, but
evacuation does.
Kind of like a real life De Blob. Oh my god. Alright, so all the links are below that I'm about to lay off. If you haven't, head over to Facebook, like our Facebook. We appreciate the support. We push out a lot of information there. And on Twitter, Twitter, not Twinner. I don't know what Twinner is. Twitter
Don't
sounds
Google
pretty
that.
hot though. I'm googling it
Don't
when we
Google
leave.
that.
No, you know what? Because you fucking told me not to. I'm googling Twinner.
Don't do it on the podcast. Like, don't make it on camera.
It's happening.
I see this going bad fast. Fucking
Twitter is apparently something about Stephen King. Oh, okay.
The book?
Yeah.
No, it's a kind of thing in his book.
Yeah, are people in parallel universes who are doppelgangers to one another. Well, that was kind of disappointing.
Anticlimactic, actually.
But it didn't get me kicked off of Twitch, so yeah. So power to you, Stephen King. Love your shit. Some of your shit, not all your shit.
I'd say a lot of it's good. Some of it's really weird.
Dude.
But anywho, continue with your speech.
All right, yeah. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Head over to our website and sign up for the news. That
you see
thing
at the bottom.
Thank you. Let's for the newspaper. I don't know, newsletter. There's the word. Yeah, words is hard. Head over to our forums also. You will have to sign up for the forums differently than the website. It is a third-party program we're utilizing, and the forums are actually going to get fluffed up a little bit here. And then if you've got any skills, especially in the area, or any friends in the area of development, we're talking about leads, so you Scrum Masters and all lead content designers, stuff like that, or any other area of development, code writers.
Coding's a big yes.
Absolutely.
Like,
we've got a lot of shit we're pushing out. So.
I believe we use C++. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's C++.
God. Fucking Crave. And we're going to close on Crave's comment. You realize if Ursa becomes a sniper, I'm going to have to insist character creation allows creation of the bear from the great outdoors.
What's that bear from that, like, PBS show?
Paddington?
Yes!
This is my disappointed face because I knew who the fuck he was talking about.